There's one question that I think everybody should be asking about the Progressive Party.
What if this thing actually works?
What if a candidate that you liked in your district actually won?
What if the Progressive Party got we, the people, into government?
What if we fixed everything that was broken?
What if no one starved in the richest country in the world?
And if nobody ever had to sleep outside again?
And if we spent our money on educating young minds, not killing kids halfway across the world?
What if you could get across town without ever having to sit in traffic?
If you could breathe clean air without pollutants clogging it?
What if world peace actually happened?
And we were able to succeed in bringing our troops home?
And everyone, regardless of what they look like and who they love, was able to live a rich and fruitful life?
What if you could run?
And we could win.
And if we all got together
And put our time
and our minds
and our effort
into something new?
What if we tried?
Join us, and let's see what would happen if what if happened.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Progressive Party Rally. My name is Hazel, and it is my honor to be hosting tonight. We have 5 wonderful, talented members here to speak on a number of different topics the American people really care about. It's important to be speaking out, especially now. As a matter of fact, Ashton, our volunteer coordinator, is here to start us out and tell us why we can't afford to be silent, and how important it is to show up.
Hi, everyone. Thank you guys so much for being here. I just want to start and talk about the heavy political atmosphere that we currently sit in. I'd like to remind everyone of the importance of today. As I look at the media, I see faces just like mine, scared, angry, sad, and confused. The effort our families have put into our economy, into our society, has achieved so much more growth than regression. Yet those who have been here lived only to see what this country has to give them and not what it has to take away. They are the ones that continue to push a false rhetoric of those who look like me, live like me, see as I see, that our existence is a reason to be scared. They choose to regress, but I won't have any of that. As though their own livelihoods will be threatened because of me, because of my family. I can't help but be selfish when I think of my political views, because as much as they care only about themselves, I can't help but sympathize. I do the same. Is this the home that I want to raise my beautiful son in? To bring about another child as I'm preparing to do so? Is this the home in which I can live safely? Today is important because it shows that as much as we are disconnected all around this country, we continue to show up for each other. Today's important because I can see all of you truly care for progress, for supporting the middle class, the common American, to be able to live a life without fear, to afford a home for your family, to access care for yourself and your loved ones. I was born and raised in Southern California, and some of the most important people that shaped my lives and my views were immigrants, farmers, teachers, small business owners, and scientists. These were the people on the ground next to me, caring about my community, caring about my future. I can't say I've been greatly influenced by the top 1% of our country because they've never even cared enough to look down and acknowledge what I bring to the table. Today is important because it's you that now inspires me. You inspire me to continue to work hard, that there's hope for the future of my children and for their children and for our land and for our workers and for every American, all of which deserve to see you here, deserve to know our platform and what we stand for. And I hope you all know that even though you may be watching virtually, your presence is no less important than if we were standing at a convention or in another rally. Today is important because of you. I see you, the average working class America, and you're important. And you should know that. And I want to thank you guys again for being here and letting me speak. And I hope that I can see your faces as we continue on and moving forward with the Progressive Party.
Thank you, Ashton. That was inspiring. Now I am happy to introduce Jacob, our blog writer, who will be speaking about the scourge of standardization in our education system and how we need to truly not leave anyone behind by empowering a diverse set of leaders.
Hi. As a New Englander, there are few things that matter to me more than education. From walking on the very soil touched by Horace Mann, the father of the Common School, to having educators on both sides of my family. I believe the first pillar in building a strong nation is the empowerment of its youth to succeed. To not only teach students the skills needed to survive, but also to thrive. In the United States, we've made some amazing progress together. Yet it would be naive to pretend we are anywhere near the finish line. The American education system continues to be held back by a collection of glaring systemic issues that continue to put millions of students at a disadvantage. But I know better isn't just possible, it's overdue. For example, our schools continue to be plagued by inefficient standards and a lack of student individuality. In 2024, nearly half of all American adults couldn't read at an 8th grade level, and the problem has only gotten worse since the 2010s. These outdated standards aren't just failing our students, they're actively harming them. The curriculums that continue to ignore both the benefits and the very real dangers of the digital revolution. The amount of valuable classroom time taken up by busy work instead of practical life skills. This isn't just inefficient, it's a failure by design. And in a society where automation looms large and creativity becomes even more crucial, it's time we stop pretending that this is the only way. This doesn't mean lowering our standards or expectations. It means raising them to meet the real needs of today's students, and our history proves it can be done. During the civil rights movement, thousands of patriotic Americans took matters into their own hands, fighting tooth and nail across this nation to ensure that our children didn't go without. That children of color nationwide could finally attend school with their white peers. That students with special needs were not only deinstitutionalized and able to express their own greatness, but also able to thrive in their school environments through programs such as IEPs. The incredible work done during this incredible movement in American history ignited the very flame that keeps our students curious and engaged, and it would be foolish to let that flame burn out now. Let's imagine for a moment if every high schooler in America had the chance to dive deep into something they truly care about, whether that's quantum physics or community organizing, a final project of their choosing due at the end of senior year, something that fuels passion and actually builds real-world skills. This kind of opportunity would teach more than just time management. It unlocks purpose, and that's what education should truly be about. If we allow our students to actually take pride in the work they do in school, they can carry that pride into colleges, into careers, and into communities that thrive, building a society that values innovation over stagnation. All in all, the current reality of the American public school system is undoubtedly a rough one. But the American people find themselves at a critical turning point. Do we want the next generation to stop asking questions and feed into the very system that got us to this point? Or do we want them to dream big with the resources to explore their own passions? Do we truly believe that our current out-of-touch representatives are the best there is? We've been shown throughout history that the answer to this is an emphatic no. We refuse to let our children's future be defined by failure and neglect. We are on the brink of a powerful awakening, and together we can claim the victory we all deserve. This is our fight, and it starts with empowering all who will come of age during it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jacob, for speaking. Education reform has always been an important part of my worldview, and I'm sure many others here as well. Next, we have Ananya, our communications director, here to talk about the price of a life, the cost of healthcare in America.
Can you feel that? The beat of your heart reminding you you're alive? I feel it every time. Blood rushing, adrenaline rising, our hearts grow warm, cold, heavy, light. It's no wonder civilizations millennia ago believed the heart held the soul. A heartbeat is worth more than any dollar amount. My parents' heartbeat gives me a place to feel safe. My brother's heartbeat gives me someone to fight for. Your heartbeats give me hope for the future. These beats, our hopes, memories, dreams, they can't be weighed, sold, or traded, and yet the very rhythm that defines life has been reduced, worth less than paper. For all the comfort the rhythmic beating of a human heart gives us, we have put a price tag on something so priceless. If I held up two human hearts, one from a wealthy person, one from someone poor, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Blood type and antibodies willing, we could switch them and they would beat just the same. And yet, we've built a system where one is worth saving and the other left to wither. Not because of biology, but because of a slip of paper. A hospital bill. We as a society have forgotten what it means to be a society. Once we relied on each other to survive, now we tear each other down just to climb an inch higher while the wealthy look down in amusement to watch the show. Are we truly a civilized group? We've put a price on life, human life. What other species does such a thing where they play God? Who lives and who dies based on something as arbitrary as slips of paper we have given value to? We're the ones who gave value to money. Slips of paper, nothing more, became the measure of a person's worth. But if we could agree to give them value, we can also agree a human life is worth more than any dollar amount. A heartbeat is not a luxury. Dreams, fears, and memories are not commodities. Life is not an asset to be bought or sold. This is a country where we trade sunrises for medical bills, where joy is rationed and prescriptions come before peace, where our neighbors suffer not because they must, but because they can't afford not to. If the price of living is silence, then we'll raise hell. If people remain silent, then we'll keep speaking until heaven itself turns its eyes to face us. If the price of a heartbeat is something as despicable as a dollar sign, then we will be so loud that even the deaf ears of power will have no choice but to listen. We are on the edge, but from that edge, we can build something better, not with profit, but with purpose, not with apathy, but with action. Let this be the moment we remember who we are. Let this be the moment we choose humanity. So share your story with us, your hopes, fears, dreams. Let us hold them close and protect them as our own. Together, we can fight for a future where human life is valued more than a hospital bill. And if you look around and see no one is fighting for you, then join us. Be that fighter, not for glory, not for fame, but for the generations to come who will know nothing but peace and prosperity in a world that finally chose humanity.
Wow, that was a very great critique of our healthcare system, Ananya. Our next speaker needs no introduction, but since it is my job, I am obligated to give one to Sydney, our party leader, here to speak on inclusion, being prepared, and representation.
Thank you. From the time we are in kindergarten to our last day of high school, the Pledge of Allegiance is repeated by every student in the United States of America. We are conditioned to believe that America is a free land, a fair land, a land that stands for human rights, wouldn't hurt a fly, and is the leader of the free world. Turn off the TV, ignore the people starving, the mass shootings, your neighbors getting deported because of the color of their skin. Salute our troops, don't question our wars or how we let our veterans down after we make them fight the billionaires' battles. Our stale leadership has only led to these problems getting worse. More lives at risk, more people struggling to get by, more problems in our nation. Yet, we're only given two options, two parties who haven't helped us at all. But what if we, the people, fought for what America stands for? What if an entire political party went to work every day to fight for freedom, justice, and the American dream? Leaders who start from your hometown, who care more about Main Street than Wall Street, who wouldn't take a dime from Silicon Valley, and would take time to get to know you, fight for your concerns, and ultimately make America what it's supposed to be. Imagine a nation where human rights and dignity are the law of the land. A nation where corruption is punished, not tolerated. A nation where people can afford what they need and competition, not monopoly, drives our economy. A nation that chooses progress over destruction, that builds bridges instead of dropping bombs, that leads with vision, not vengeance. One day, I decided to stop wondering and put my boots to the ground. Now, there are thousands of us fighting to ensure that one day what America stands for can become a reality. I remember thinking about the blood spilled in our country's name, how many people struggled to get by, how expensive college is, how our human rights are being violated. All of that, on top of the inaction of our current leaders, fueled a fire in my heart. A fire that inspired me to step up to the plate, found the Progressive Party, and take the first steps to a world where liberty and justice for all aren't just words repeated verbatim in a pledge before school, but the law of the land and a reality for all Americans. No matter their skin color, no matter how much money they have, their status, which states they're from, their political beliefs, who they love. Everyone deserves to be free, and the Progressive Party will fight for your freedom. And one day, the things that we are fighting for will become a reality. One day, we will have a nation where our constitutional rights aren't being taken from us, but instead restored. One day, we'll be able to express our voices and have our leaders work for us. One day, we'll be able to afford things. No one will go without basic needs, and there will be peace everywhere on our planet. As long as we fight for it, one day, we will have a brighter future. So let's fight, not out of fear, but out of love for what this country can become. And let's win!
Let's win indeed, Sydney. That was very wonderfully put. And now, closing us out is our final speaker, Ajak, our Chief of Staff, with some notes of empowerment.
Good evening, America. Don't you dare. Don't you dare is that thing that you heard when you wanted to grab a snack from the refrigerator at 3 a.m. Don't you dare is that thing that you heard when you were asked a teacher for clarification. Don't you dare is that thing that you heard when you took a new risk at work or tried something new in your art class. Don't you dare is something that society tells us every single day. Don't you dare is that thing that echoes in our hallways, barrels down our roads, and dances in our social media algorithms whenever we start to wonder whether tomorrow could be better than today. Don't you dare, and its little sibling, that'll never happen, are the expressions that the Progressive Party fights and wins against every single day. Deep down in all of our hearts, there's a little violin. It plays a tune of joy and of sorrow, of fear and of hope, a seesaw of emotion rocked by the chains of circumstance and the winds of our dreams. From St. Louis to Milwaukee to Detroit, discriminatory housing practices have left millions locked out and left behind. From Tampa to Denver to Portland, we see wealthy urban cores that are surrounded by areas where food and healthcare are scarce or non-existent for those of lower classes. Yet, from New York to Phoenix to Des Moines, from Olympia to Charlotte to Columbus, everywhere where there is pain and everywhere where there is strife and everywhere where there is struggle, there is hope. Here at the Progressive Party, we have a high and mighty order in a world where we could educate students, a chance to succeed, in a world where everyone has a real chance to succeed, in a world where everyone should have a zero chance of being left behind, where farmers could gaze over their amber waves and newscasters could fawn over their alabaster. We choose it all. We could have it all. We can have it all. The Progressive Party will win with an aggressive strategy, one that puts people first. We'll throw open doors as tall as the moon, supporting real people like you as they run at every level of government and dare to fight for their communities. We want to support you as you cross your T's and dot your I's, as you knock on your neighbor's doors and as you share your story, because this isn't about how the party wins. This is about how you win, how we win. This is about how you write your community story, one with the champion that your community deserves. My friends, you can run, and we can win, and together we will move mountains, and the Progressive Party will be there to support you every step of the way. And if you don't run, that's okay. We are committed to providing the infrastructure that you need to support candidates around the country to join the front lines of this people's revolution and break from the oligarchy and the oligopoly and tyranny as we know it. Walk with us. Run with us. Join us in our mission and stay tuned. The best is still around the corners. And my friends, don't lose hope. Don't despair. A better world is on the horizon. We know that because you're here. What if we lived in a world where everything mattered and everything counts? What if we lived in a world where children could run across cities without supervision and where fathers didn't look at price tags when they bought groceries? What if we lived in a world where culture was a thing that was celebrated rather than concealed, where abundance for one was because there was abundance for all? We must dare to make this world a reality, because if we don't, nobody will. This is the time to dare to break from the two-party system that got us into this mess. This is the time to dare to knock on doors and build a people-powered movement in an era of change. This is the time to dare to do our part, to dare to make a change, to dare to dream, to dare to dare. This is the time to dare to run for office. This is the time to dare to put up your posters. This is the time to dare to be unequivocally you. This is the time to dare to dream something new for you. If you're ready to dare, to act, to rise, to win, you're already in the right place. Welcome to the Progressive Party. Welcome to a future that we can all believe.